Hey Lance,
Hi Frank.
how you doing after
Let's
me?
hurry up, it's past my bedtime, Frank.
I'll tell you what, after the,
I'm thirsty.
Cameras go home.
after the,
I probably would have been in it. You wanna sit back
Okay.
there? Probably would have been in it, but I got it.
How you want that?
I'll get it.
Oh, good, that's true. That's true. Didn't even think of that.
I did right away. I did the same thing. I was like, I was.
Yeah.
I think it was a false effort. You're gonna do the Linus and Suchan and Lucy thing. Football.
This is not, this is not going to be some sort of.
so, oh, yeah, this is it.
And then over to San Jose and then to Seattle. Oh, and then Seattle. Well, I worked out with the new. Unexpected. Try again. And,
That's been wrestling.
I have swisher feet.
it's early in the season.
For practice.
Okay, folks. How we all doing today? Number 2, discussion and possible action regarding possibility of retaining Jewel Associate Engineers of Spring Green, Wisconsin for LRIP grant application and submission services as it relates to Hooper Road West road repairs.
I make a motion that we retain Jewel Associate Engineers in Spring Green, Wisconsin for LRP grant application and submission related to Hooper Road West road repairs.
I'll second the motion. Motion made to approve hiring Jewel for an LRIP grant for Hooper Road West of the. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 3, continued workshop for 2026 budget year. Any and all town budget matters may be discussed during this workshop. Pending fire and EMS contract with Village of Palmyra may also be discussed. Action or direction regarding fire and EMS agreement and or any budget items may be taken. Oh, where do we leave off?
So, with that last little update, I updated the estimate through year end for highway and street construction. I took the $1,500 for Jewel, Zion, Piper, and Hooper, all in there, okay?
Yeah.
That revises the fund balance applied for 2025 to 7,379. If that's still the case, 105 is the Tamarack draw. Realistically, that's where we're at the moment. So far, so good. Okay. Working through the levy limit worksheet with info in our budget as well as Michelle's kind of pre-draft of it, me second set of eyes on it. Right now the allowable levy limit with adjustments would be $717,920. Okay, which leaves the shortfall with, let me update one thing, 375,488 is the number that we got from the village, I don't know,
How much?
Monday? When was that?
375, 488. Could move up to the front row if you want, you know.
No, I can hear all
I
right.
can't make it any bigger, it goes off screen, sorry. So that number is in there, the shortfall remains 86,391 with all of those numbers put together. So, next step that I did, where we were debating, discussing, exceedance request potential last meeting, put finger to keyboard, and utilize the spreadsheet from the last 3 years running here. So net new construction from our levy limit worksheet was 2.119%. Make sure I have all of these. 2.119%, yes. The unadjusted levy limit is 508,088 from the DOR's worksheet, yes. That means we would be able to increase per statute 10,766.38. I'm just going to do this so that all my numbers format the same. Allowable adjustment then goes to 518,854, which is line 7. On the levy limit worksheet, there's a reduction of $580 for personal property tax, which brings it back down to 518,274. So far, are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. 86,500 is a round number of this. It's actually a little bit long by $100, but I was trying to use numbers my brain could work with. So, a potential levy request of 86,500. So, taking that against a whole bunch of other boxes, that's all this stuff down here. Proposed debt service for 2026 totals is not. Hang on, bear with me. It should be 168,970, and this is the wrong number, 27,582,39. Right, did I do that? Yes, it did that. Cool. So, interest on debt service, 27,582. Principal payment, 168,978, total 196,650. To triple check,
560.
is that what I said?
You said 650.
Okay, 196,650, again for good crowd.
560.
196,560. 196,560. 196.
96560.
196,560, right here. Combination of principal and interest comes out to 196,560. So far? Back to the exceedance request. So, we take 196,560, oops, wrong decimal, wrong direction. We add that to levy limit line 10, 7, 8 with adjustments, 8 with adjustments, 7. Why is this not? It's 196,560, 518,274. Yes. Okay, so that becomes our adjusted with debt service, 714,
834.
834, 714, 7,
834.
yep. Before adjustments, 196,560, 196,560. that's different from that because the debt service came down on the payment. That came down by the difference, let's just double check, 714, 834. Don't trust math, 717, 920. 2086. Which should be the difference between. Yep. So this actually goes 714, 834, 714, 714, 834, 89, 477, 89. Delete. Okay. If you followed any of that. So I originally had in here the $84,000 debt service amount, which is $3,086 more in interest than the $27,582 without drawing the $84,000. So it's a $3,000 difference in interest between the draw and not draw amount, if that makes sense. Okay. So then, to balance, oops. To balance 89,477, I put in 89,500, so $23 difference. Okay. So that turns out to be 12.5% on its own. This should be the base levy and the exceedance request, yes, which is 19.5%, which would be the amount we would need to ask for in the levy exceedance, 19,505. This number should be this number, and it is, with request equals yes. So, for a comparison's sake, I threw in a handful of numbers. We can pick anybody here or out of the audience if you want. Total tax levy, $804,334. The statement of aggregate assessed value from Board of Review in the county is $242,761,500 for the entire town of Palmyra. So if you divide 804 by the 242, you end up with a mill rate of 3.31, $3.31 per thousand, which is $331 per 100,000. This would be a house that's assessed at $424,500. This would be the resulting net increase in tax for that house between 2025 and 2026. And I feel like I just had an aneurysm. So that's where we sit. Working everything out from the last meeting to today with an exceedance request, $207,000 increase on a $400,000 house. You can go to $700,000 and it's $341. You could say that it's $1,000,001. Oops, that's too many of those. That's still too many of those. You could say that it's a $250,000 $50,000 house, any number you wanna stick in there. And yes, I painstakingly went back through 4 years worth of tax bills and made sure that this section of this worksheet is actually accurate to anybody's tax bill, regardless of what it is. This yellow cell pulls in, duplicates across all of these, and you can instantaneously see what the cost difference between taxes between 22 paid in 23, 23 and 24, or whatever. So that's where we're at.
So in other words, would have to go for $89,500 levy exceeds.
If any of my math is anywhere near accurate, yes, that is.
That's above and beyond what we're legally able to do, right?
Correct. Without issuing additional debt service to cover the difference, which obviously would play a whole hell of a lot of havoc with what I just put together. But debt issuance issued after January 1 of 2026 and paid after January 2nd, any issuance for a quote long-term 1 year short-term cash, near-term cash would be a 366-day debt service issuance, which would mean that it would come due on January 2nd, let's say, of 2027, and that amount would be picked up as a debt service payment in 2027. So, back to a little bit of let's play math. Currently I have $91,364 in the LGIP. We're planning on using roughly $7,400 of it to balance out 2025, which means we have $83,000 left in our LGIP theoretically at the end of this year if all of our budget projections for the rest of the year come out to be accurate. Obviously, if it's more, we have less, and if we spend less, we have more, theoretically. Not any more than 91,000, but we do not have enough fund balance, one way, shape, or form, to be able to say, let's take all of our money back out of the bank again, retro 2022, and make this number something smaller. It would get to the point where we're $6,000 short. $6,000 short, we can cut things out of the budget and do even less than what we're doing now, which is essentially not much other than operating and plowing snow and mowing grass. Beyond that, we can cut more if we want, we can do whatever, but those are the options at this point. Again, for anybody who hasn't been to any of these budget workshops, we were 100% planning on zero proactive road work for 2026 to get us to this point where we're only $90,000 short. We're planning on refunding $15,000 that had been designated for emergency management purposes in the future, which again, if we use the LGIP balance, that would all go away. The 50 that between the 2 years would be sitting there in case of emergency would be not sitting there in case of emergency. This $10,000 for highway and street construction is to replace a failed culvert on Piper Road, and we've got $40,000 worth of tree work to potentially cover $175,000 worth of necessary tree work. We've got these two other columns in here, or other accounts in here that we've talked about in a handful of different budget meetings. The donation, I'm not even gonna call it a donation because it's not a donation, it's a contribution towards the operation of the Park and Rec Department for the village that adults, kids, whoever use, and the same thing with the library, American Legion, and band. We could cut those all to zero too, and then legitimately, anybody who's looking for a level of service like what you've had in the last 2 years, it's not gonna be there. So.
One more time, people, we were reactive this year on trees and spent what, 37,000 roughly?
4, I think.
Okay, that's being reactive, not sending them down to clear out Tower Road or whatever.
37, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So, and like he said, we have $100 and how many thousand worth of trees that are dead that are looking to fall right in the roadway. He went out, he said he marked all of them.
Yep, again, only Young Road, Tamarack, Little Prairie, Tower, Carlin, Mill Road, Little Prairie, Tamarack. Yes, those 6 roads, there's 142 dead trees standing in the right of way that at some point in time need to be taken down or fall down and get cleaned up.
So that's where we're at. I mean, we have to continue to try and take care of the town, and move forward with, I'll say, clean it up when it comes to trees. I've got people, you know, yelling at me about getting the road fixed. 40 years is way too long to be filling pothole on top of pothole on Hooper Road. Right, so I thought something spilled off.
Me too.
So,
Does that include like along our property where all those, we're taking those down? Okay, because we're taking those down
No.
eventually.
I still think we need to have a discussion on having 0 in there for roads.
The Piper Road piece?
With anything road-wise, do we not need, well, the grants we're putting in for,
Yep.
if we get them,
Yep.
have 3 years to be utilized, correct?
After they're awarded, correct.
And then- which won't happen until late '26.
well, no, when are they awarded again, Josh?
So they would identify awardable projects hopefully before December,
Okay.
sometimes January. We would have a SMFA with the DOT, probably July of next year. You can't spend any funds on a project until you've got the SMFA in place,
Right.
which means construction in '26 is all but a foregone conclusion of no.
Unless we want to fund something on our own.
Right.
Correct. So we would have 27, 8, and 9 to construct any project that we were awarded, call it in December.
But if we once again put nothing, or not once again, if we put nothing in there for roads, that's just another year that they deteriorate and nothing happens. And I understand the budget, don't get me wrong. But at some point, the town, and I'm not talking about the 3 of us, I'm talking about the town and the residents have to decide if they want their roads maintained and maintained at a certain level, or if we continue to let stuff deteriorate. The town saw the charts 2 years ago at the electors meeting in November that talked about, what was it, 5 years down the road, it would go from what, 3 or 4, 500,000 down, it'd go up to $1 million or 2.
That was the backlog.
The backlog.
If we spent $250 a year for 5 years, starting in 2024, we would still be $1 million behind by the end of 2029.
So, we can continue to kick the can down the road, but how does the town feel about their roads? And when I say that, I'm not talking about just looking out your window and seeing, oh, my road's fine, but taking a overall town view of our roads. And, if you live on a county highway, that's not including what we're talking about, because the county maintains those. We definitely have some roads that are well past time to do something with, so I don't know if I'm bringing anything up tonight other than, and I don't know if there's a discussion we can have at the electors meeting where we talk about this with a broader base, but I firmly believe if we don't continue to maintain the roads, we're not gonna have roads. So, thoughts?
We all drive trucks.
It's a good thing I got a 1-ton. Anyway.
Thanks for the
Everything's that softer, right?
Oh,
what does the town
Seriously.
want?
Seriously, Marsh Road is bad.
well, there's a lot of them that are bad. Go down, we talked about Hooper Road tonight. Those are the people calling me and telling me, when I've seen them, when I went out and with the chicken problem and stopped door to door. A couple were more interested talking about getting the road fixed than they were the chicken problem. You know, seriously.
What's being done about cutting back on fire and EMS expense? Have you looked elsewhere? We haven't heard any.
Okay, I'll answer that
Feedback.
question. I reached out to Whitewater, they don't wanna do it, okay? I don't know exactly who he reached out to.
We've reached out to LaGrange, they don't want any part of it at this point. Reached out to Western Lakes, they're not in a position to take us on. Rome, still have not heard back from them. We reached out to them again, but haven't heard anything back. So we are having, but we haven't had a lot of, but what we really, the town brings nothing in the equation there. We have no assets, okay? So it's just a cost basis. What we really need to do is, and we have proposed to the village, we need to go as a joint village-town caucus, for lack of a better word, and approach these different districts as a community. And that's, we proposed, we're gonna be looking forward to doing that in the next contract. But that's what we really need to do it together. But we have not had any takers as yet.
No.
I heard that LaGrange is having troubles finding people, and it would be nice if the village could reach out to LaGrange and say, let's combine with the town's participation to help spread that cost out.
Yeah, I think that's what I just said.
Everybody's
We need the
having
village, and the town to do this together. Kettle Rain had discussion with them, which is Eagle North Prairie and Eagle Town and Village, and they're in chaos over there, so that wouldn't even work for us. So the answer to your question is yes, we have contacted multiple with 0 results to date.
When you say we, you mean the town? Because you keep saying the town and the village should work
We,
together.
the town,
Okay.
we, the town board,
So these
have
three,
reached out.
Whitewater, LaGrange, and Western Lake said no to us, the town, not
yes.
the community.
And throughout this entire, kick me if I shouldn't be saying this, but through the entire negotiation process with the village, we've pushed them to do this. At a joint meeting back in January, we got their agreement to do it with us with 0 follow-up from them, from the village, to work together on it.
I know Mark asked me a question once. He said, what happens if we say no to the village? Where does that leave the town?
We are legal, Frank, or
Okay,
Jonathan, answer this one, we are legally obligated to provide service.
Exactly.
by state statute, if we don't,
So,
somebody's gonna own the town. If we don't have some type of a service. Okay, that's just the way it is.
and we're still not through with our negotiations with the village, so I really don't want to comment anymore on that.
Sure. But no, it was a nice question. And Mark says, well, what if we don't go with them?
It's a question we've asked Jonathan a couple times throughout the year.
Because someone else said, well, then if you don't have it in place and you call 911, who do they call to respond?
Yeah.
They don't, the answer is that we have to have service, period.
Yeah.
Done.
If you
Period.
don't, you 3 are responsible?
Generally, yeah.
If that's what you want to say, Bonnie, that's fine.
No, I mean that you 3 are the ones who have to make sure you get something somewhere, and right
The
now the
town-
villages are only
The
option.
town has to have service, and
Right.
that's,
These statutes haven't changed since you were on the ad hoc committee for the town
Okay.
3 years ago. It's the exact same thing. You have to provide service, period. You have to provide service.
so you already know
Right.
the answer.
By the way,
Checking.
I'm just, you know,
I mean,
we talk about fire, you know, we talk about, the costs. I'm gonna tell you right now, after the meeting the other day, the next day I called Town Jefferson. And I asked Tina, and I just seen her at a meeting at WTA, the clerk over there, I said, how has, first of all, has your, services, EMS and fire gone up? Gone up, she said, my God, we get our stuff from 4 different jurisdictions. So the town of Jefferson somehow contracts with 4 different jurisdictions. They said Fort is hitting us hard this year. Jefferson's going to be hitting us hard, but they're gonna do it in increments, because they went to full-time coverage. She proceeded to tell me, I didn't even ask who the other two were, but she proceeded to tell me that Helenville's contract went up 64%. That's the figure she used to me on the phone. So everybody's out there, everybody's,
If anybody thinks this is just the town of Palmyra's problem, it's not. It's everywhere in Wisconsin. Are having the same cost issues, costs are just skyrocketing. People are having problems finding help, police officers, firemen, etc. So it's not just Palmyra. And at the end of the day, the other thing people have to consider is response time, okay? I mean, people have to understand that even if there are other options, which there aren't right now, but if there are, it comes at a cost, not just monetarily, but it comes at a cost of response time. And that comes down to what do people want? You want to pay less and maybe have an extra 20 minutes on an emergency response time? Or do you want, is the most important factor? And at this point, we don't have to deal with that because we're working with the village, we're trying to get the best deal we possibly can, and hopefully that works out.
when I spoke to Kelly Freeman over there, pointed out your house, Mark, he says the best we can do without any traffic problems is 30 minutes to get to your house.
From where? Where was that from?
From Whitewater? We got people that are 6 miles from Whitewater. Why would it take them 30 minutes?
I said to Mark's house, who's all.
Oh, Mark, oh, yeah.
Let's not just worry about our
But-
own side of the town, we got a big town.
But like you talked to town of Jefferson, we could have Whitewater do just the western half and get someone else to do the northern.
How are you gonna do that, Bonnie? Just wave a wand
No,
or
I
what?
mean-
I was down there and talked to him about it.
How did town of Jefferson do it? They're with 3 different municipalities.
Well, she told me 4.
Bonnie,
Well, they have a little bit of Rome, but they hardly count
Bonnie,
that.
it takes 2 parties to dance.
I know,
And
I
we have
understand
not
that.
got one party that's willing to talk to us.
I,
One of the main reasons is we don't have assets, we don't have a firehouse.
I understand
we don't have
that, Rob,
vehicles.
but it has been done. It's something we need to keep pursuing and not just give
And
up
it's
on.
something
So,
we're pursuing with the
can I
village.
ask you a question? Because this is the part where I feel like you're being super antagonistic for something you've been through 3 years ago. Why didn't you set up a deal with Kettle Moraine when you were on the ad hoc committee? What was, I'm not
Ask
trying to be,
Frank-
I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
Ask Frank that question.
My
He's asking
question,
you.
my.
Frank has the answer to that
my-
question.
I'm
He's
How would
asking
Frank
you.
have the
What-
answer to that question?
What was the biggest hurdle that you guys ran into back then?
The biggest hurdle was a group of people who went to the fire department, Kettle Moraine fire meetings, and discouraged them from going with us. They told them, we don't want you, we want the village. It's on YouTube, you can go to Roland's YouTube, you can see Frank talking to that board, discouraging them. They had a village member go and talk to that board, Matt Stockrider, I think. He went to that board in Eagle and discouraged them from taking us on. So we were transparent, but
Let me ask you a
enough that
question.
people
Bonnie,
went and
let me
fought
ask you a
against
question.
it.
How would that have worked out right now? With the chaos that they're in, how would that have worked out?
Maybe our money would have helped
versus
them.
what we've gotten from Palmyra in the last 2 years?
But if you look at it, Kettle Moraine helped Palmyra a lot
They don't
back
even
then.
have enough staff over there. I talked to the board member yesterday from over there, Bonnie, and they don't even have enough staff. They're staffing with paid on call and stuff. They've lost members. They barely can keep themselves going. I got that right
Right.
from one of the board members and the town
But
chair
if our
over there.
money had been in there, maybe they could have helped kept going.
Okay, but.
But
But ifs and
but-
buts and.
Candy and nuts, and we
Yeah.
all have a Merry Christmas, that's how that goes. So, aside from 10 people out of 3,000 saying that we don't want to be part of that fire district, you think that that is the sole reason why a contract wasn't negotiated with the town of Palmyra?
their fire board had as one of their policies that before they could approve taking on another township, instead of a majority vote, it had to be a unanimous. One person held that up. And that's all they need. They need to change that, but one person could hold up a lot of decisions because it has to be unanimous, not majority.
So my point is, exactly what he just said. It takes two different parties
Right,
to do this, okay?
Right.
Now, let's say we don't live in Palmyra, okay? And we're looking at this from the outside looking in.
okay,
They have lost a public safety director twice,
the village you're talking about,
our fire department.
yes,
Yes,
Okay.
our contracted service provider has lost a public safety director
twice, yeah,
Okay, they have a chief that's been there, I'm gonna say, let's call it a year to be generous. They've got a lieutenant that's been there, call it 6 months, okay? All of that is inside of the response area. To Rob's point, a
Right.
half an hour, maybe it was you, a half an hour from Whitewater to Mark's house, to the
Right.
farthest reaches, right?
right,
July, no rain. Staff available. That's one issue. The second issue is what happens in January at 2 in the morning.
I
That
understand,
turns into easily a 45 to 55 minute, and we get into issues with ambulance deserts, which I don't know if you
Yes.
researched when you looked into this 2 or 3 years ago. Ambulance deserts are no better off than actually having no service whatsoever from an insurance standpoint. Because the other thing that we've looked into, at least I have, I'm assuming these gentlemen have as well through the discussions over the last 6 months, is homeowners insurance. They may be able to get to Mark's house in a half an hour. Mark may also pay more for his homeowner's insurance with Whitewater covering at a lower overall town cost than he would have seen with a tax increase to have service that gets there in somewhere between 7 and 15 minutes, let's just say that.
I'm not disputing all that, Josh.
Right, I understand that, so the double-sided questions are the parts where I don't understand, what are we really trying to do? What,
Well,
like,
what's your
our
goal?
goal, 100%, is to try to get the village, who owns
Right,
95% of the assets, right? They own 95% of the assets, to
Right.
partner in, and I'm hopeful that with a little bit of change of regime in the leadership, that they have realized that this cost is not sustainable. That was a phrase you used 3 years ago, it's not sustainable. You said it from a staffing standpoint. That staffing model has changed and it costs more. No different than what you just said about LaGrange. LaGrange is having trouble
Right.
finding people. Nobody has time to volunteer for a fire department anymore. They have to employ people, and that employment cost goes up and up and up every single year. And if you don't do it, people leave, and then you end up like 15 miles away, where they're staffing one station to cover 3 communities. And that isn't a benefit either. We are, I know you've mildly chastised, and I'll say that, for not providing more information. Some of this comes down to, it's not our decision to make. If the city of Whitewater won't provide service for us for 2026, there's nothing we can do about it, even if Jefferson does it.
right,
Like, we can't do something just because. And we can't go to Fort Atkinson and say, can you provide service to us too, because you provide for Jefferson? Their staffing is not Western Lakes. Western Lakes is a multi-jurisdictional, multi-million-dollar-a-year department.
why can't Western Lakes, what was their reasoning for not helping to cover us?
Because we don't have anywhere to put them. So they're taking their existing staffing and stretching it out over an additional 38 square miles to
take
try
this-
to cover
You
it.
mean a
And
substation?
Bonnie,
Correct.
Bonnie, take this
We-
into account.
We had
When
a
I talk to-
substation
when I
set
talk to
aside.
When I talk to Western
And what
Lakes,
kind of a cost?
We had the money set aside too. We
Where
had
did you have $3 million?
the garage next door, we didn't need that much at the time.
Absolutely inaccurate. Because
As
there
that-
are so many you can say that you had one set aside, getting permitting, getting the money to actually retrofit it for a public safety department, fire EMS department. You can't park an ambulance in that garage and call it a fire station. You can't do it.
Bonnie, what's your point at all this? You went through this 3 years ago.
Well,
So, and you know, we're
no,
going through basically the same thing, so I don't understand your point, but I'll answer your question on Western Lakes.
Okay,
Western Lakes declined for a couple reasons. One, they're going through a reorganization over there that may or may not include the Lake Country District, which is north of them.
okay,
So taking on something this far away from them would just complicate what they have going on right now. That's one reason. Two, these fire departments want to provide quality service, okay?
True.
They don't just take somebody on just to get the funds. So one of the reasons they told me is they didn't think they could provide the quality service that they felt we deserve because of the distance and the other things that are going on. So they refused, they turned us down because they didn't feel that they could provide the proper service to us. So I guess you can
No,
go
no,
talk to all, you
that's all I
can go
was
talk to all these
asking
other communities like you have been and get whatever information you need from them, but that doesn't mean that they're willing to work with us, as Josh said and I said earlier. So I don't understand your point.
My point was, we hadn't heard this reasoning back at all. We hadn't heard that you had gone to someone.
I've had reports, I'm not gonna say every meeting, every other meeting, a third of the meeting, where I reported who I was talking to and what the feedback I had gotten. So don't say you haven't heard any of this.
I've been to the meetings, Rob, I never heard that part. And I
Okay.
never heard about Western
Oh,
Lake.
So let me ask you another thing.
But it's
Just
great, no, I mean, just hearing back is
From a
one of the things I like.
from a strategic standpoint, okay, you're gonna buy a car, and you've got two different car dealers that you're potentially gonna buy the exact same car from. Are you gonna go to the one dealer and say, well, I think I have another opportunity over here, let's see if we can cut costs? Or are you gonna go to the other one and say, well, so there's a little bit of negotiating that goes along with all of this to try to get $113,000 off of the initial cost. And if you think that that's by magic, that's not by magic. They came
Right.
back 488,668. That was the initial cost that they said. You see what that number says? 375, 488. It's $113,000 through a
Right.
combination of working individually with people, trying to stress to the village board their own financial pickles that they have, admittedly. All of this comes down to what is the best thing that we can do to provide service at a cost that we can actually afford. So Rob giving a 20-minute dissertation about every single meeting that he's had gives away a little bit of what's in your hand and where can you go, right? And it
Okay.
also provides a little bit of leverage for our community to be able to try to find something, whatever that something may be, at whatever that cost may be.
Okay,
Those are the things that I get it. I applaud your involvement, 100% applaud your involvement, because you're probably one of 6 people that are here all the time.
and I appreciate that, it's just the feedback, because I
Well,
hadn't
Bob,
heard.
let's be truthful here.
Well,
You and
no,
I have talked individually.
yes,
You've called me, you've sent me emails, telling me you've talked to this,
and,
let me finish. You've talked to this community, you've talked to this department, this and that. And I have told you, been very open with you about what I've done, who I've talked to, what departments I've talked to. So don't say you don't know this, because I personally told you I have not kept anything from you.
The
I even
only-
told you that was talking to Rome. So don't tell anybody that you didn't know any of this information. I take offense to you saying that.
Rob, the
And-
only one you.
Whoa.
The only one you told me about was Rome when I asked you last week, and you
That's-
said, we're working on it, that's all I got.
All right, let's just
Okay.
agree to
I
disagree that.
come to very few of these meetings. And any meeting that I've been at since I've started to come, Bonnie videotapes every single meeting. And I can tell you, within the last month and a half that I've come, Rob brought it up, Bonnie, at the meetings, and I've already heard Rob say, in a meeting here with you there videotaping, that he has talked to other companies and is going to continue. So I, as a citizen of this community, watching you tape this, and you're taping me right now, which is fine, I am taking offense as a citizen that will in the future elect this board, or the next set of people. I am taking offense to you videotaping constantly and then not watching the tape, because I have heard Rob say. So thank you for letting me talk.
okay,
Can we move
I think we
Well-
gotta move on.
Thank you.
I do want to clarify the
No,
accusation.
we need to move on. I think this
You
is
made an
too hot.
accusation,
You
I'll
and I
clarify
can
it.
talk outside.
We're moving on.
All I'm saying is, I appreciate what you've
What's
done,
next-
I
what's
think you
next
have,
on the
and I
subject?
think Rob needed more help. That's what I wanted to say. Instead of a one-man committee, your highway has 3. You should have had more help,
All right,
Rob,
thank
in
you.
doing the legwork.
Appreciate that. Can we move on?
Especially because we met like 8 times in closed session as a board to discuss it instead of leaving it up to appointed unelected officials. Cool idea.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're $90,000 short, 89,500. In the big picture of things, if this is the exceedance request, then at some point we have to pass a resolution that not only has this 19.505% in here, but also the direct amount that we're asking for,
So the direct amount is 89,500,
89,500
and the percentage is 19.505.
after adjustments.
Are we still on number 3 or 4?
No, we're on 3.
Okay, got it.
So Josh, if we ask for an exceedance limit of that,
Yep.
and it gets turned down, how much would we have to borrow to cover just what we need to balance the budget?
For the balance of
I mean,
the 90 grand.
Yeah.
it would be
Call it 90 grand.
89,000.
So we'd have to borrow an additional 89,000.
Or cut 89 out of the budget from expenses, yes.
Okay, should we move to number 4?
Yes.
Well, do we need to make a decision on 3? Is there anything?
I mean, my work through.
And I don't know that
essentially-
there is or isn't, I'm just
Yeah.
asking.
My work through essentially for the 5th time in 3 days was to cross-check everything, and I'm 90% confident. that
Oh, no,
those changes-
I'm not questioning the numbers.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, before we move on, do we have to, before we talk about a resolution, do we need to decide if we're gonna ask for the exceedance, or if we're gonna?
That's a number 4.
That's number 4.
It's kind of hand in
Okay.
hand. It's either ask for an exceedance to balance it, which would take
Okay, we'll move on to 4.
this number to, I hate entering direct numbers, but we're gonna, 89,500, right? $23 goes down to fund balance. That's essentially what the budget would look like if an exceedance was approved in the general property tax. Okay?
What did you say about the fund balance? I'm sorry.
Because I'm using round numbers, we're $23 long. Because I have 89,500 instead of 89,477.
Okay, gotcha.
Or-
Yeah, you rounded up.
Yes.
500, yeah.
So 23 can go into an account anywhere in the expense, or it can go into, we're gonna designate $23 to go into fund balance.
Okay.
This can all, I mean, internally, any of this can be amended in the
Okay.
future if something has to slide around, but,
Right.
I have a question. The budget still will look like that, whether we get the exceedance passed or if we borrow the money, correct?
generally speaking, the answer is yes. If you take the 23 out, and then we take out the additional, and we put in proceeds from debt, 89,500 there, as proceeds from debt. January 2nd, we issue $89,500 worth of debt. We get it as a proceed. We can put the spare $23 down there. And then in 2027, this $89,500 comes up on our debt service for payment. Yes.
Number 4? Number 4, discussion and possible action to approve resolution of Palmyra Town Board proposing to exceed the levy limit via a special electors meeting. Care to make a motion, anybody?
Wait, a motion for what?
So as part of this process, the town board has to approve a resolution to request a vote on exceeding the levy. So if you bear with me for,
How's that voted on, in person?
yes.
Okay.
It is voted on November 13th in person by registered electors or not registered electors, residents of, they don't even have to be registered, they can show up with an ID that says they live there the day of the special electors meeting. They get checked in, they get a ballot, they get to be part of the public hearing.
Just for clarity for everybody, that's full-time residents or anybody with property?
People who call an address in the town of Palmyra, they're permanent residents.
So, full-time residents, basically.
Sure.
So for clarification in my mind, right now, we're deciding if
Well, we're deciding.
you guys are deciding whether you're going to ask for the exceedance or you're going to borrow the money.
We are deciding whether we are going to ask for the exceedance. Period. And if we ask, what that ask is, the details thereof.
So then we, in the audience, can make comments how we feel about that or not?
At the electors meeting.
At the electors meeting?
Sure.
Okay.
We also have email addresses, you can make them ahead of time if you'd like.
Okay.
Or phone calls,
Emails work?
most of us.
I don't know, do you know how to use it? Back at you.
He's joking around.
I'm just joking with them to a prior conversation.
That's fine, Rob, I know you live, it's no big deal.
Hey. Got your email, but anyway.
No questions?
I still have it.
Mark's got a question, go ahead.
Before the special electors meeting, might the other towns in Jefferson County be willing to share their recent fire and EMS costs and projected costs for next year so that we can see that we're...
We'll work on that. I'll work on calling.
You have to understand, there's a lot of,
Accurate
Bonnie probably
information.
has it, she's called everybody, but, but
You want me to
there,
answer it?
you have to take into account, you wanna come sit up here, Bonnie?
Well, he asked a question and I'm hoping to provide the answer. Is that okay?
Take care of it.
So, here, when Frank, you made the comment about Jefferson and you talked to Tina, but when I called Tina, she said, talk to our treasurer, Alice Fisher.
That's correct. She
Alice-
didn't have the exact figures, Bonnie. Now we're getting back into this crap again.
Can you let me finish, Frank?
Okay,
go ahead.
She gave me the figures and she said that Fort Atkinson's changing to full-time staff in 2026. All three departments are going up. Fort's going up 13,000, Jefferson 20, Helenville 10. They didn't count Rome because they only service a few people, I guess. The total increase is 43,000, so they paid 230,474 this year. Okay, Mark, we paid 250, they paid 230. They're going up to 273,000, which is a 17% increase. And I have others here if you want to look at it, Mark, you can even have that, I can run more off. Because I have Town of Whitewater, I don't have Town of Whitewater's increase, that I'll call and ask. But I did get Town of Jefferson.
Okay, yes. You're gonna put the figures in there, or?
Questions
I
out there?
would really like to.
There's a question back here.
There's a question back
Much
there.
of my bandwidth, to be honest with you.
Yes?
You're not the chair, I'll wait to be recognized by the chair, sorry, Dan. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
may I be recognized?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I move that the town of Palmyra, the Palmyra Town Board propose to exceed the levy limit via a special electors meeting. That is a motion from the floor.
that's great, but that's cool, I
I
appreciate it.
give it a try.
I'll second it.
Ooh, it's got a second. Now you get to decide if you
Well,
want to recognize.
Mr. Attorney, what do you think of that?
It's up to the board, one of you have to make that motion.
Right.
What is our, remind me, our posting deadline for this?
We had said Wednesday, but it depends if we decide to just post it on Sunday's paper publish.
So post it on the website, post, if we post
Oh,
and
you got my calendar.
on the website.
I think it was Tuesday.
While she's looking, can I
like
ask?
that. That was pretty good back there.
Make the motion, you second the motion, you discuss the motion, or it can die for lack of second.
Can-
Probably not gonna die.
Can I ask one other question? In the resolution, if you want to exceed the levy, can you make that a 1-year limit, so you readdress it next year?
Posted by the 29th.
Can you make it good for just 1 year? Because more people might like that. Instead of versing borrowing where you pay interest, can we do the exceed the levy for 1 year?
Oh, no, I agree.
Readdress it next year when hopefully something better comes up.
Meeting, huh?
But I don't know if that's an option. You can make it for 1 year to make it more appeasable.
It's not gonna change for the following year. It's not gonna.
No, you'll come up with something
The
that,
28th.
no,
I mean,
the levy, exceeding the levy would last 1 year.
not tomorrow.
Then you come up with something new next year depending on how
Today's Monday.
conditions change.
Yeah,
Yes.
so Rob's going Wednesday for a week.
What are you looking at?
If I could see the inside of my brain and how squishy it isn't at the moment, quite frankly, I don't wanna pass a resolution that's screwed up because of 3 decimal places or whatever. I know you probably not gonna like that, but
Well, you wanna make sure it's exact.
yeah, cause this is kinda like one and done.
What do you
Can
wanna
it,
do?
can it be made pending some, can it be made and voted on pending some finalization of numbers? No?
You wanna do it, well, tomorrow's out, unless you did it at 9 o'clock.
Probably isn't gonna help the,
What tomorrow at 9?
We gotta post it 24 hours.
We have a closing tomorrow at 9.
Well, I'm at 9 o'clock tomorrow night.
Oh,
24 hours notice.
That's right.
You're not available Wednesday after?
I am.
On Wednesday through Tuesday. At some point on Tuesday.
just have to do it with 2.
What do you think you want?
I quite frankly, I would rather table this for tonight, to be honest with you.
Okay, so when do you wanna get back together, Josh?
Whatever.
Well, obviously not.
Wednesday would be fine, but obviously Rob's gone. Straw polling's not legal, is it?
It's not.
Strange.
Phone participation's now,
Okay, what time do you wanna do it Wednesday?
Sorry, what was your question?
phone participation in the meeting?
I believe that you can participate via phone.
It'd be no different than a Zoom meeting.
Correct.
That's right.
What time are you thinking?
I don't know where you're going or what your availability is, so don't tell me where you're going, but
Anytime, I'll be in the car most of the day, but probably from, I'd say 5 o'clock's probably the last, maybe 5:30.
okay. As it happens to be.
I'd say 5 o'clock is probably the limit.
Eastern or Central Time?
Good point, I will be in Eastern time by that time, so that's
This
great.
time, this
No,
time.
that's the next one.
I know where he's going, that's
That's
why I
an,
asked.
that's an excellent question. So I'll be in Eastern time, so that would be 4 o'clock here.
What time?
5 o'clock where I'm gonna be at, would be 4 o'clock here would be the limit.
You know, you gotta have service.
3, I mean, we
Wow,
have
that's